Okay, good morning, everybody. I don't talk loud like Percy, so you guys can hear me or what with the microphone? Better? You can hear in the back? Yeah? So welcome, and thank you so much for joining us this morning at the Aging in Place workshop. Lots of information, lots of classes you can go. If you wanted to go to another class besides this one and it was happening at the same time, I think everything repeats in the afternoon. So you can come here today in mine, you can go someplace else in the afternoon. No worries, no overlap like that, okay? So first thing I want to say is, everybody know what a bathroom is? Know what a bathroom? Okay, you go out here, go out this door, take a left, and then in the main area, you know the elevators. When you get into the main area, you see the elevators. The bathrooms is near the elevators. Okay? So if you need to go bathroom, that's where it is. I also want to acknowledge that, you know, we've been doing this workshop for years now. And this workshop costs money to do. And so we're not able to do something like this without sponsors. Yeah, so we're very fortunate that there are a lot of big businesses and professionals that are willing to make a financial contribution to put something like this together so people like you can enjoy. And so I want to acknowledge these sponsors: Vacation Hawaii, Aloha Care, Straub, The Plaza, Kukua Care, Carbon Outreach, Declutter Hawaii, the Generations magazine. All you guys see the magazine outside, yeah? AARP, and of course everybody knows KHON TV, yeah? Okay, so without those organizations, this stuff doesn't happen. Okay, so I want to mention also that anything and everything you see today, I think they're taping it. You see the camera in the back, yeah? So if later on, if you miss something, you go to the Generation Magazine website. That's www.generations808.com. And over there, they're going to have videos. So you can go and watch things that maybe you never see today. Okay? So you find something interesting, you go over there, check it out. Okay, so with that, shall we get started? Okay. So today we're talking about financing long-term care. And long-term care is a hard topic to talk about for many people. They don't know where to begin. They don't know what to think. So I have a goal today. And my goal is, I want to help you to, in my talk, learn what to think, how to talk about it with your families, and how do you plan for it. Okay, so how about that if we go along that route? Okay, so I'm gonna first start off with an analogy. In life, some things we do is spontaneous, and other things is intentional. Yeah, so I'm a generation that my parents love Las Vegas, and any one of you here love Las Vegas? Yeah. So when we go to Las Vegas with family, we're spontaneous because we've been there many times over, and you land and then you know where you want to eat. You just kind of go with the flow. You gamble on the tables, all of that. No planning necessary. All you do is, I go to Vacations Hawaii, I pay the price, and I go there and it's all plug and play, right? Ready to go. Then the other year, I was going to go to New York with my wife, and New York's a whole different animal. New York is a big place, right? And if I drop off in New York off the airplane and then I will have an experience, but chances are I'm gonna miss out. I'm gonna miss out on all the stuff that I could have seen if I had done a little bit of research and planning before. So because I knew I was going to New York, I wanted to be proactive. I wanted to be intentional. I wanted to influence the outcome. I would still be spontaneous, but spontaneous when I'm there, because nothing ever goes as you plan exactly. But I would research. I want to make sure that I want to see the places I want to see. I want to be at Times Square. I want to see Wall Street. I want to see the 9/11 memorial, right? All these things. I want to know what I want to eat. I know the shows I want to be there. So when you got 1 week and you're going to spend all that money and then you might not go back again, it's better to plan than not plan, right? So I believe long-term care is the same way. That is, I say life is going to run its course. With all of you in this room today, I don't know how and when we're going to end life, but I know someday it will come. So rather than be afraid of it, I have to have a way of talking about it so that we can all talk about it in a way that you can think about it and plan for it, because the best time to talk about this is not when you're in crisis. Do you agree? Yeah? You're in no mood to talk about it if you're under heavy drugs, right? You're in no mood to talk about it if you're hurting, right? And you ever hear when people are emotional, like when you're angry, you see red. When you see red, can you think clearly? Cannot. So the best time to plan is before something happens, when you're not in crisis. So we're going to talk about that. So let's start off with what is long-term care? Okay, so this is, whatever I tell you is how you're going to talk with your family, because at the end of the day, even all of us say we're not going to be a burden. It's going to be a family affair. Every single time. In my 30 years, the family going to be involved. Yeah. And if you don't have family, it's going to be your auntie, your nieces, your nephew. Somebody going to come out of the woodwork and say, "Auntie, I help you," or "Come talk to you," and stuff like that. Right? And if you don't have family, sometimes you belong to a church, a group of people, and then somebody going to say, "Hey, Patty, I'm going to come out and help you." So all this conversation thing is important for you to know first, and then how you're going to talk with your circle of people so that you can have a positive outcome, a positive experience in what I call, it's a natural course of life. It's just that we don't get to choose. Okay? So what is long-term care? How many of you experience long-term care in this room? Anybody? You raise your hands if you experience long-term care. Any of you experience long-term care? What do you say?
Normally, if you went to the long-term care, you don't come out, right?
You don't come out. I have good news and bad news. Here's the good news. Every one of us in this room experienced long-term care and came out of it when we were born. I call that the sunrise of life. And when we were born, we could do nothing by ourselves, right? We had to have somebody bathe us, dress us, feed us, and then teach us. And as we grew older, we had to be supervised because we get in trouble. Yeah? That's long-term care. And when you grow up and then you become an adult, I call that, when you get towards the end of life, it's called the sunset of life. And in the sunset of life, everything you learned, everything you experience starts going in reverse. And as it goes in reverse, it could be gradual, it could be sudden, but it does. It could be physical, it could be mental, and it could be both. Right? But as it happens, the need to be taken care of and supervised comes back again. Okay? And that's long-term care. So, that's the piece number one. Now you know what long-term care is. So when you have the conversation, you don't have to use fancy words. You just tell your kids, "I want to talk about long-term care." And then the kid says, not going to happen to you, Mom. I said, "What happened to you? You was born, right?" It happened to me. I was born, so I know. And then many of you in the room experienced long-term care through somebody else. But that's why I posed the question, did you experience it yourself? And the truth is you did. Okay. So then the next question is is it going to happen to me? Okay, so some of us approach life paying attention to our physical wellness. So we eat right, we exercise, we visit with the doctor, we do all the right things. We never do in excess, yeah? And chances are when you do that, you're going to live a long life, right? So Social Security says that for a married couple age 65, there's a 50% chance that one spouse is going to live to 92, and a 25% chance that one of them might live to 97. Yeah. So when you get beyond a magic age called 85, you join a special club. And that is special that you're alive and you can still enjoy your grandkids and your great-grandchildren and all that stuff. But it's also a special club because when we get there, half of us are going to experience something called dementia or Alzheimer's. Yeah. So if the body keeps going, it might be the mind that starts going first, yeah? Okay? So taking care of yourself, there's the chance that you could live a long life. Then some of us say, well, if I know that, then I'm going to live it up. I'm going to have a good life. I'm going to drink. I'm going to eat ice cream every time I feel like eating and all that kind of stuff, right? And what we know about that is you're going to have chronic illness. You're going to have diabetes, you're going to have cancer, you're going to have heart disease, all kind of bad stuff. And long-term care is going to come to a theater near you sooner than later. Yeah. In fact, that's how mine's scared the hell out of me. Because here I am, I'm talking to people for many, many years. And one day I go for my annual checkup with the doctor, and this is 3 years ago. And the doctor says to me, hey, Mike, you put on some weight, huh? And he says, you better lose some weight. I'm going to put on medication because you now have showing signs of diabetes and high blood pressure. And he says, you don't feel anything different. But if you don't listen to what I say, something going to happen to you. You're going to have a stroke or heart attack. And when you do, I'm going to come and help you. But when I come and help you, it's too late. Life will be different after. And when I thought about that, I thought about my responsibility. The first thing I think about wasn't me. It was my wife, the kids, the private school education, the college, everything that you think you want to happen, right? So if you don't take care of your health, it's going to happen anyway. Then the third thing, chances of long-term care is things have changed over the last 50 years. Healthcare, medicine, technology, all of these things increase the probability that we live. When I got in the business, I was a young guy 30 years ago, and I'm not an old guy now, but I'm, But used to be the statistic was 1 in 4 people gonna experience long-term care. Yeah. Today, the Department of Health says 7 in 10 people gonna experience long-term care. Imagine that, 7 out of 10. And when I think about it, all the people I've talked to, and then the people that I serve as their financial doctor, it pans out that it's coming out that way. Like this year, I share something personal with you. 7 of my clients died this year. I didn't know when I started helping them the how and when, right? And the youngest was 59, the oldest was 86. 3 men, 4 women. 4 out of 7 experienced long-term care before dying. The shortest was 2 years, and the longest was 5 years. So the message is, if you live healthy, you might still experience long-term care. if you live fully and then you don't have balance and all, you still might experience long-term care. And even outside of all of that, you might experience long-term care because healthcare is so good. My mother is living evidence of it. I love her. She's still alive. And, but she has survived 2 heart attacks, and this past December, a stroke. And fortunately, medicine is so good that she comes back and she can still be with us. She can still talk with me. The difference between then and now is now we have to do everything for her. Yeah. My job yesterday was pick up her laundry and do all the laundry every week. Somebody else's job, clean the house. Somebody else's job, take her to the doctor, make sure all the medications all set up, right? It's a family thing, right? Okay, so with that, the conversation that you want to be thinking about, the planning opportunity you have, so that you don't walk into long-term care by accident, so that you don't have to respond in crisis, is to plan when you're not in crisis. And these are 5 things I want to leave you with to think about when you're planning for long-term care. Okay. So, number 1, we call that self-insuring. I'm going to pay for the cost of care myself. So the first thing I want to say is that life is not fair in the way that some people have more money and some people have less money. Some people have more income and some people have less income. So with that in mind, the answer on self-insuring is different from one person to another person, correct? Yeah, it's different. So the important thing to understand when you say that is to think beyond just saying it because you don't want to plan for it, is to think that today, when I started 30 years ago was $100 a day in Hawaii. You know what it is now? Average cost is in a nursing home is $397 a day. How many times did that multiply in 30 years? And so what is that number annually? That's $145,000 a year. And when you think about it, that the average could be some people more, some people less, is 3 years. And I share with you my own clients, which I didn't choose the outcome. That's $435,000 now. So everybody in this room is not happening to you now. When is it going to happen to you? Later. So when it happens later, what do you think the cost is going to be? The possibility is more, right? So we have to think carefully. So I have 2 ways of thinking when I'm thinking about self-insuring. And I'm thinking about, number 1 is we have to grow money. Yeah. If your plan was to just sock aside all these CDs and that's going to take care of your care, that might not be a good plan if it's going to happen in 5 and 10 years from now. That cost is going to far outrun the money you set aside in the bank. Yeah, so your money's got to grow, and then you talk to somebody who can help you with investing to grow the money. Okay? But another way of growing money to think of is not just a nest egg, making your nest egg grow, but another way to grow your money is to think about your house, that your house is also a bucket of money. Now, how many ways are there to tap into your house for money? Anybody? Anybody guess? Home equity. So home equity is 1. So there's 3 ways. Okay? You write down the 3 ways. So 1, which was said, is borrowing money. 2 is renting. Yeah? 3 is selling. So let me talk about the 3 pieces real quick. Borrowing money. There's the way we always borrowed money, which includes traditional mortgage, fixed rate, adjustable rate mortgages. Yeah, stretch them out 30 years or 15 years, whatever. Whatever you borrow, you pay closing costs, and the payments are fixed. It's an obligation. If you don't make the payment, then they come and they foreclose your home. Then there's the home equity line of credit. Yeah? And the home equity line of credit is adjustable rate interest, but you use it when you need it. So an example, if they give you a line of credit of $200,000, you don't owe anything on the $200,000. It's just a line until you use it. So when you use it, then you now owe interest. And if you fail to make payments on it, the balance grows. Yeah? The only obligation is you have to pay interest and principal to the loan when you borrow against it that way. Okay. Then there is the reverse mortgage, which if you don't understand it, you can sit in the next presentation, where like the home equity, it's a line of credit. And the difference between a home equity and the reverse mortgage is where the home equity, you're required to make payments. In the reverse mortgage, the payments are optional until you die. So in other words, no matter which way I borrow the money, I got to pay back the person I borrowed the money from. And the only question is, how much money do I owe? Some people have the myth that they think that if I borrow money, they're going to take my home. The only time people take your home is when you don't pay them back. That's the only time. Okay, there's different costs and stuff, but to compare one against the other, because borrowing money, I want to be clear, is neutral. Borrowing money is just a tool of your financial life. We used it when we were young. We use it to go into business, and we can use it when we are aging as well. And what makes it good or bad is using the right one and how we're going to use it. Okay, so make sure that that lines up together. So second one is renting. A couple of my clients, boomers, say, I want to make my financial situation better, so I want to use the equity in my home and generate an income. So they happen to have upstairs, downstairs, and then they turn one or the other into a rental. And now you have income, right? And so that's renting, to bring in income, to help to bring in extra money to pay for care or to make your retirement more secure. Then the third piece is selling. You say, but if I sell, where are I going to go? Where's my house going to be? So when you sell, I say, what we usually do is we say you still need food and shelter in life. So what we call it is either you're downsizing when you sell, so you're creating more money while living in a smaller space. So now you have more money for care, more money for living. Yeah. Or the other is I'm selling and I'm moving into a retirement community like Arcadia, 15 Craigside, and so on. Okay, so when you sell, you move there, you convert your home into a bucket of money. And you can take care of entrance fees, or you can create money that can earn an income now that previously was just a roof over your head. Okay, so these are the things that you're going to put on the conversation for yourself and with your family and with your advisors, because I will tell you the same, that what fits for one might not fit for another. But it's important to have all the bullets. You want to check off all the bullets, right? Okay, so that's self-insuring. Then the next one, number 2, is family will take care. AARP did a survey, and 90% of seniors surveyed say where they want to live? Home. And the AARP guys said that 74% of seniors, when asked the question, say, I don't want to be a burden on my children. Is that true in this room? Yes. Nobody wants to be a burden, right? And then the reality, because we have the statistics, the reality, 85% of all caregiving is done by family. So if that's the case, then I have to change my mindset and I have to just say, get over it. If you have family and love shows up in different ways, whether it looks like obligation or it looks like love, at the end of the day, if it wasn't love, they put you on the street, right? Family going to be involved. The thing to think about when family's being involved is that in the old days, how big was families in the old days? Big, yeah? My mom's family was a family of 9. My dad's family was a family of 5. And I'm just lucky to be in the boomer generation that my dad and my mom had the wisdom to have 4. But the reality is today's average is 2. Can you imagine, you think I'd be talking to you today having to take care of my mom if it was only me and my sister, right? We kind of rotate, right? If you have a big family, not my turn until next week. If you're the only one, it's your turn every day. Get this, 59% of all the caregivers taking care of somebody is still working. Get this, 70% of them are married. And get this, 62% are women. Yeah. So when we say family gonna take care, that's automatic, gonna come, gonna happen. Just think that gonna happen. And the only question is, I understand why both sides are concerned, because long-term care is physical, is emotional, is relational, and it's financial. So maybe we want to rely more than on family in planning for long-term care. Yeah, it makes sense? Yeah, maybe we want to plan for more than just self-insuring. That maybe the two together could be a plan. And the only question is which route, which path we're going to go. If we make this chart, how are we going to go? And your family's input is very critical, because relationships and availability and capability, all these things, if you never talk about it, what's your plan? You would have none. And you'd be going aimlessly through life without a plan. So, bullet number 3 is government. So government, we think of 2 entities. We think of Medicare and we think of Medicaid. Okay, Medicare and we think of Medicaid. So I talk about Medicare very quick. If you, in the days when you used to get a Social Security estimate that comes in the mail, on page 4 it will tell you that Medicare does not pay for long-term care. So most of you are in this room know that already, but some of us might not. But you just got to know that Medicare doesn't pay. So the same thing that's been paying for your medical bill and your hospital stays and stuff, it's not going to pay when it comes to the long-term care piece. So you got to think of something else. So the other one is Medicaid, and Medicaid is a safety net. Medicaid is a safety net. Medicaid is the same as welfare. Okay? So we're lucky to have Medicaid. Not bad, but good. Because Medicaid, if all else fails, the government will take care of you. Now here's the startling news that of all long-term care costs paid, Medicaid pays 62% of all long-term care. Now, do you think 62% of our population is in poverty? No. In Hawaii, only 13. And nationally, something like 15. Yeah. So when long-term care hits families, it means that without a plan, a lot of people are running out of money. Yeah. So one of the things I would have you guys look into is, if you have access or your children have access on the internet, there's thing you can search or Google. We call it Google when you're searching, like looking in for a dictionary, and you say Medicare 5-star rating. Medicare 5-star rating. So you go look over there, and I think there's, last time I looked, there's 45 nursing homes in Hawaii. And there's 3,900 beds. How many seniors do you think we got in Hawaii? 277,000 and climbing. It's 1 in 5 people, and by 2030, 1 in 4 people, because I'm going to be with you. Okay, so people with money going for those beds, people without money going for those beds, right? And in that 5-star rating system, they're going to tell you all the names of the facility. The reason I want you to go is you're going to do the homework like the tour, yeah? And you're going to say, I want to know the star rating of these facilities because I want to know if I would go there or not. Yeah, don't you look up the hotel you're going to before you go? Yeah, so 5-star. 62% of them 5-star in Hawaii. That's the good news. The bad news is that means the rest is less than 4 or 5 stars. And so people with money going after those places and people without money going. Now, when I last looked, 89% of the beds are full. So if there's an opening and you don't have money, what will happen to you? Where are you going? The places that people don't want to go. Yeah. So just to make sure, the planning opportunity is not everybody that I've helped in my lifetime are ultimately so rich that they can go anywhere that they want. Not everybody in Hawaii is a millionaire. I know you think that everybody is, but not everybody is. That's the truth. So the key is when you have money is the time to make the plan. Because if you walk in and you say, I want choice, and you have no money, you don't have money. Yeah. So I've done that where if I have the ability to put somebody, they can be taken care of at home and it's aging, yeah, but they qualify at some point. They got to go in. They qualify now, the doctor says. The doctor, your personal care physician, is your gatekeeper to care homes, to the nursing home, to foster care, to residential care. And I would say is if I have money, then I'm approaching it like I'm a rental tenant. When I'm a rental tenant, right, I look in the newspaper and I say, which homes for rent? And then I go check it out first before I put my money in there, right? If I know more money, what I do, I put my name on a list because I'm welfare eligible, and I wait for an opening and I go where all the people with no money go. See the difference? So if it is a part of the plan, we have an opportunity, if we understand how the thing plays out, to figure out how we're going to end up influencing where I go. So bullet number 4, long-term care insurance. And I'll say this, that not everybody can have long-term care insurance. Some people cannot afford it, and some people cannot get it. You cannot qualify for it. It's not like a CD where you say, oh, I like that rate. I give you money, you give me the CD, right? With long-term care, you have to qualify because the insurance company is going to pay if you need the care. So they want to know when they make the promise to you that if we make a promise to you and we say, you give us this much money, that it's not going to happen tomorrow. Right? That's the nature of it. Okay? So what I say about long-term care insurance is nobody in their right mind wants to pay for long-term care insurance. And for all I care, including myself, I don't like paying any insurance if I don't have to. So the question becomes, when do you like paying for insurance then? Only when you file the claim. Only when your house burned down, then you say, wow, man, I'm so glad I had this homeowner's insurance, right? Oh, only when I end up in the hospital, I'm so glad that my employer gave me medical insurance. But when you're just paying the premium, I hate the thing like hell. Okay? So I get your pain. I pay for it myself. Okay? But it's kind of like this. You got to make the decision long before it happens. The longer the better, because it's cheaper. When you don't need it, when you probably don't want it, yeah, and maybe even you think you cannot afford it. So I had a phone call yesterday, and my client called me up, says, Mike, I thought I'd call you up. The insurance company says my long-term care premium is going up. So I'm thinking he's thinking, I'm going to cancel this baby because he's 80 years old. And he says, no, that's not what I'm calling you for. It's a wake-up call. I said, oh, what do you mean? My wife was, I'm going to confide in you. My wife was diagnosed with dementia 3 years ago. And so it's a wake-up call for me to call you to say, how does this plan work now? When did he make that decision? I said, I'm so glad you made that decision. You made it 16 years ago when you didn't need it, didn't want it. Maybe you thought you couldn't afford it. We had to make a decision because I don't know how and when. And you made a decision, and here we are at the crossroad. And I said, I don't know how this ends, how this goes, but I know what it's like. My mother-in-law lives with me. She has dementia. And I'm going to walk with you through this. Okay? So insurance can bring you peace of mind. And insurance, from a mathematical point of view, is leverage. Pennies on the dollar. Let me give you some specific example. That same person, the wife is 79, so she bought it 16 years ago. The premiums had increased with time, so that the current premium now is $1,771 a year, which many of you, if you know long-term care insurance, you say, how the hell you got them that cheap? Well, you had to have bought them a long time ago. Yeah? And so if you paid for that 16 years, that's $28,336. She got dementia now, right? The bucket of money is $341,000. So I do simple math to 8 cents for $1. So that means 8 cents of your money paid over time, so that we're not tapping into your retirement. We're not bankrupting your retirement because long-term care came to you. Yeah? We're not destroying inheritance because long-term care came to you. So sometimes we look at things that we may not know when we're trying to make the decision, the why, but later on we find out it was a good decision. So I'm telling you now that this is something that everybody should think and look about. And today there's many variations on the theme. There's traditional long-term care, there's life insurance long-term care, there's annuity long-term care, and each one has good and bad about each one, differences, and one fits better than the other for every family. But it's not for everybody. So does that mean when I'm telling you this that everybody who doesn't have insurance, you out of luck? The answer is no, but you got to solve it without insurance. And you want to know from my own experiences, we make do with what we got to do, right? So number 5 is you got to have a team. You have to have a team. That you're not going to walk through life alone. There'll be certain people that surrounding you that you can trust, that family, right? And some of you probably thinking, are you kidding? I don't trust my family. I understand. Yeah? But we got to work with people. And even I've seen, I've seen it all. I've seen all the different relationships and stuff. So even they fighting, I know when it's love and when it's not. I do. And the thing is that we got to talk about it. We got to plan as a family. Now, would you walk down taking care of your physical health all your life without a doctor? Because the doctor knows more about your physical health than anybody else, and they've trained and experienced. So you need the doctor as part of your team as you walk down this long-term care path, right? Then some people, they think they're walking down that path and they think that's all I need is my doctor, and then you're missing something. I'm telling you that long-term care is a financial thing too. So you need somebody to walk with you on the financial side, and that guy better be more than stocks and bonds. That guy better be doing more than just insurance, right? Because they have to be very holistic, like I'm talking about, and understand more than just stocks and bonds, more than just long-term care insurance, in order to put all the pieces together, including whether we have to rent, whether we have to borrow, or whether we have to sell. And to have it open. Everybody has good intentions, you know. When they come and you're in crisis and you're lying there in the bed, they're not telling you you need to do this because they want you to suffer. They're doing it because they think it's the right thing. And it might be the wrong thing because they don't have enough information. So everybody coming together, people working together can create a better outcome than people acting independently. Yeah. So you need a financial planner. You can look up the word and look up credentials and look up for experience and all that. Then you need a legal professional, because the legal side of this whole thing dictates who can make decisions for you when you cannot, whether you're living or you're dead. Yeah, and all of that stuff. So you need a team. Okay. That said, in summary, long-term care is something that is part of your life story. Accept it as part of your life story, and then accept that no matter where you are, whether it's sooner or some people might think it's too late, some people might think it's too early, the time to write that story is now. You can always do better or not, right? Depending on whether you are proactive or you're going to be reactive to all of this. I'll leave you with one last thing, that if you take my business card on the way out, there's my website, and the only reason you're going to there is a it's called Confident Retirement Checkup. So it's an interactive thing that asks you all the questions to what it's doing is, like, if you go to a doctor and you want to know what is my grade for physical well-being, the doctor does all the tests on you, right, and then tells you where you stand. So in that quiz is I think 16 questions. You answer the 16 questions, and then the triangle comes up, and then the triangle gets colored in. And if the colors is 90% full, you're in good shape. Financial wellness is good for retirement and long-term care. And if the whole thing is blank, you're in trouble. Okay. But what do you got to lose? It's just a crazy quiz. It could be right or wrong, but check yourself out. Is my financial wellness for retirement, long-term care, is it good or what? And then that conversation you're going to take with you into your long-term care conversation with your families. And then from there, I wish you the very best. And also, if you ever need help, I'm always available to talk to you. So thank you so much for your time.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You know, if you have long-term care insurance, how do you keep up with the rising costs? Because when you buy the insurance, it's a set amount, and you said the thing keeps, going up.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. The costs could rise because, like I said, when we first started this whole thing, the insurance industry was saying 1 in 4, right? And when it goes to 7 and 10, you knew something was coming. And then when the cost goes from $100 a day to $397 a day, you knew something was coming. So the question is, how do we pay for it if the cost is rising? Yeah. So that's where we have to, if you only look at life with your paychecks in retirement, Social Security, and your pension or your rental, then you're limited your thinking. So you need to figure out a way that you can finance the premiums, because that's cheaper than bankrupting your home or blowing up your nest egg. Okay, so you got to figure out a way, and that's what a trained financial guy, that's what I do with people all the time, is we figure out, just like the person who called me, you notice they're not saying, I got to cancel it. Way beyond that. We know how we're going to pay. We figured it out long time ago. Yeah? What is the right amount? If you were wealthy beyond means like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett who own long-term care, you can buy all the bells and whistles. But when you're not, you got to buy something because something is better than nothing. And insuring one person is better than insuring nobody. See? So we got to figure it out. And what it comes down to, somebody can get it, somebody cannot. Somebody can afford it, somebody cannot. And that doesn't stop you from the need to figure this thing out. And if you figure it out, what you're going to do when you get to New York, you're going to have a better experience. Okay?
I have a question to ask you. What are the top 3 long-term care insurance companies?
That's a dangerous thing to answer because then all the ones that I don't give the names, they're going to all be mad at me. And then I'm being recorded over there, and then those guys going to call me up and said, So you gotta call me up on a telephone or send me an email, and then I'll tell you. But I cannot tell you in public because we're being videotaped now. Fair enough. I'm Mike today.
What, do you sell insurance?
I'm like a financial Walmart. So lots of brands, lots of different products, from investments to insurance to everything. But behind it is I'm certified to give advice, to do financial planning, to help people navigate their financial lives, to help you manage your financial well-being, to address the idea that we're going to have a plan, and every plan will have moments where it breaks down, and then you have to, if you know what your options are, you can get back on track. Yeah, I know how all the related pieces fit. That's how come I could tell you the story today. Yeah.
Mike, you mentioned there's certain qualifications you need to have a long-term care insurance.
Yeah, better to be healthy. Let me add, I just was making fun. A lot of companies, the biggest one's going to be, obviously, you got to be pretty good health, yeah? So you cannot have already had a stroke, have already had a heart attack, okay? But you might be, you had cancer and then survived cancer, and if time has passed, they might still insure you because cancer is about dying, right? So they might still insure you. And if you know about cancer, that not everybody dies from cancer, hopefully we can solve this thing over the next so many years. Then you back to square one, dealing with aging and that they're going to keep you alive just like they're keeping my mom alive. And I'm not disappointed that they're keeping her alive. I am very happy. Yeah? So better to try when you're young. The best time to try, the cheapest, is when you're 45 to 55. But that doesn't mean that you cannot buy insurance when you're older and make sense if everything lines up. Like I had a client, he came to me, the wife came to me because she's taking care of the husband who had Parkinson's. And he bought long-term care just at the age when you cannot buy. So the oldest you can buy, 79. And you said, wow, you crazy bugger. Yeah, so old. What you gonna get for that? Didn't buy it from me, somebody else sold him. But at the end of the day, I get to him and he's 95 years old, yeah, Parkinson's, in the caregiving facility. So how many years is that? 15 years, $70,000 later. The bucket of money is $164,000. That's still $1 buys $2.50. So the only difference is if you plan way ahead, you have more options, probably more efficient, more cost effective. If you plan later, you have less choice, a little bit more expensive, but is it still better than doing nothing? If you can, yeah, if can, and we can do better, we can live better, we can make sure that the relationships are concerned, that we don't want to be a burden on our family, and we don't want to leave our spouse financially without. I say there's no accidents, not because accidents don't happen. When I say that, it means that in my 30 years working with families full cycle, I told you about my experience of people dying this year, and every year I deal with that. Every year I deal with people aging. My oldest clients, 2 of them are 100, and they don't know my name anymore. I work with the children or the niece. Yeah, I got 90-year-olds, 80-year-olds. I know every single bracket. I know every single way you can end your life. Yeah. And what I have to say is the people who plan have a better chance of outcomes, and the people who plan and involve their family have a better chance of managing the relationship of the family. Because it's not easy. And I'm not speaking just through my clients, I'm speaking firsthand, right? I'm a boomer. I'm called the sandwich generation. So I'm sitting here with you today. I have a senior in Marino, and I have a sophomore in Sacred Hearts, and I have an 86-year-old mother-in-law living with me with dementia. So when I say to you every day, I cook because she cannot cook. And my wife is a nurse, so that's the reason why we can take care of her. And do you think she has long-term care insurance? She has long-term care insurance. That's why I married her. No, I'm joking. I told them to buy long-term care insurance long time ago, just like the other client. So I use that in my hip pocket because what we want is, life is not easy, the end of life part. And so I'm not saying I'm perfect. Don't walk out of here thinking I'm perfect. I'm as flawed and normal as you can be. I get upset, I get impatient, I get all that stuff happens to me too. But at the end of the day, I'm doing it because I would not put that person on the street. And that, my mother-in-law is happier living with us than not living with us. It has more freedom, can interact with my children, can still see her friends, and can still make it home. And one day when she doesn't, this thing on my phone, when she doesn't come home, I will find her because I have GPS. Okay? So I built it intentionally so that she can live her life as long as possible the way she wants to live. Any more questions? Thank you so much for your time.